Now, following a visit to Taiwan that incensed China, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi arrived in Japan on Thursday for the final stop of her Asian tour. The plane carrying Ms. Pelosi from South Korea landed at Yokota Air Base in Tokyo at around 9:50 p.m. Ms. Pelosi is scheduled to hold talks with Japan's lower house speaker, Soda Hiroyuki, and other officials. It's the House Speaker's first trip to Japan since 2015. Now let's talk this through by speaking about the tensions between Taiwan and China is a global affairs analyst, Sam Fati. Thanks so much for joining us on World Now. Now, China has announced unspecified sanctions on Nancy Pelosi and her immediate family following the visit by the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives to the self-ruled island of Taiwan earlier this week. Why do you think China is furious over Pelosi's trip to Taiwan?
First off, common thing is it violates the one China policy, and it also gives some sense of legitimacy to Taiwan as an independent sovereign state that China is claiming is a province, is one of their provinces. And of course, China, we had Xi Jinping many times in recent years talking about how Taiwan is a province and that it is going to be some way, somehow, by any means, be reunited with China. So Pelosi's visit actually legitimizes and reinforces the idea that Taiwan is independent and will remain so as a country. Despite all the diplomatic hurdles that they're going through, China on the other side is saying, look, there's a policy in place that you violated, that you agreed to. So, but we must understand how, even at the United Nations, Taiwan was actually a country representing the whole of China. But of course, the dynamic has shifted. And then obviously, Taiwan and China has been trying to scramble over countries that will recognize them. And China, through its one China policy, was able to take away a lot of the support in the international community that Taiwan has. So the U.S. House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, going to Taiwan just helps give them moral booster and reinforces their independence and their sovereignty.
Now, so during a call with President Joe Biden last week, Xi Jinping warned that the U.S. should not play with fire over Taiwan. So, what security implications do you think this would have on Taiwan? Could China make real its threats?
Well, yes, China makes threats. But again, I think Pelosi's visit, for example, and the remarks by Tony Blinken is saying that, look, you cannot use force and you will not use force to against Taiwan just to call them over to become part of China. And they are pretty much saying that the U.S. is going to support them. Mind you, historically, when you look at it, when when the United States was going to recognize China, they had signed agreements with Taiwan that guarantees that they are going to militarily support them. Now, however, this does not translate to U.S. sending boots on the ground in case there's a war between China and Taiwan. But they are going to give them the military, technological, logistical, and intelligence support that they are going to need. It is very similar to what we are seeing happening in Ukraine, where you have a smaller country having to stand up against and defend itself against a very powerful and well-equipped nation. So United States will, and there's no doubt about that, will provide such defense mechanism to Taiwan. And I think by all indications, both the Secretary of State and the House Speaker and even the White House have supported the idea and saying that, look, Pelosi has the right to go to any country he wants to go to. So unlike unlike China and other countries, the U.S. House of Representatives is a very, very powerful organ of government. In fact, it is the most powerful. So the president or any other person in government cannot dictate to Ms. Pelosi where she go and what she has to do in her office.
Yeah, very quickly, Ms. Pelosi's visit has dragged Sino-U.S. relations to a new low with the economic rivals at loggerheads over a range of issues. Are you worried this might escalate beyond mere the flexing of muscles by China?
No, I'm really, at the end of the day, what it's going to boil down to, if China has to do anything, it's not going to be military. I mean, it's going to end up being in the forms of trade and economic, sanctions, or the implementation of what we call in economics mercantilist policies. So mostly they're not going to even direct this towards America because America can easily retaliate. What they will end up doing is trying to put certain trade restrictions on Taiwan. There are certain things that Chinese companies are currently producing in Taiwan. They are flights in between.
Yeah.
And so there is some form of economic relations between the mainland China and Taiwan.
Right.
So what they would do is to put in place certain economic policies in the form of mercantilist policies, or it could be in raising certain taxes and restrictions on Chinese companies doing business in Taiwan as a way to suffocate the Taiwanese economy as a form of retribution.
Right. Well, thank you very kindly. Global Affairs Analyst Sam Fati, thank you so much for your insight.
My pleasure.